Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings Week 10 Monday Night Football Showdown, a game between the Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 7, total of 47.5. In this one, we're going to break down everything that there is to talk about, all the things that I think that you need to know to build better lineups for this Monday Night Football slate. So we're going to take a look at who I think are some of the best captains that you should be playing. We're going to build a pick'em card over at Underdog. We're going to look at some cheaper plays or some off-brand plays, some guys that I think might be under 25% that could help you build better lineups to fit in all the studs that you need. Every single point, always super important when it comes to Showdown. And we're going to go over to Fantasy Labs. We're going to build 150 lineups using the rules that we're going to talk about on this video. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go!
He's a legend.
Every single Monday, I produce a weekly recap video. You see the week 9, the week 8. This is on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel. Either go right up here and type Al Smizzle Fantasy Football on YouTube, or you can just go to smizzle.tv/FF, and that will take you right there and get you subscribed so that you can be ready and, you know, click the bell too, so you know when I post that recap video. We have shorts on that channel, unabated videos, a bunch of stuff in the off season to help you get prepared for best ball. But that week 10 recap will be out about midday on Monday. So make sure you subscribe to the Fantasy Football channel. Let's take a look at everything that we have going on here for this slate. Obviously, there are two captains that stand out above the rest. Not just by name, not just by scoring, not just, but like also by salary. $3,000 more for Steph Diggs than for James Dalvin Cook, and Josh Allen $3,900 more. So it's going to get price restrictive to play Josh Allen as your captain in this matchup, but he is the optimal captain on the slate. You could make the argument that you want to go with Diggs. Totally understand. There's just enough guys. Since Knox went out, they're playing a lot more 3 wide receiver sets, and that benefits and suits Josh Allen's style a little bit more to spread it around. Khalil Shakir has been the guy that stepped in and played a lot more snaps since Knox went out. So Josh Allen, can we fit him? Maybe. I think that you should try. And if you're going to go with Josh Allen as your captain, you're going to want to use at least 2 of his pass catchers along with him. That will include the kicker. We're going to include the kicker, and that will include Shakir in that. Trent Sherfield has seen a target here or there. He's only 800 in the flex. Every one of the pass catchers goes in that group. I'm not going to include James Cook because he does not get targeted enough to warrant. Guys like Christian McCaffrey, guys like Austin Eckler, players that what's his name? Alvin Kamara, who can get like 6, 7, 8, 9, 15% of the target market share, 6, 7, 8, 9 targets a game. Those are the guys I would include in that quarterbacks group, along with Josh Allen. If you'd rather go with Steph Diggs, DraftKings scoring clearly set up to favor wide receivers in terms of what their ceiling games are capable of. Obviously, Josh Allen averages more fantasy points per game no matter what projection system you use. He is going to probably have a higher median score than Steph Diggs and a higher ceiling score than Steph Diggs, but Diggs can get it done and get you a higher score than Josh Allen, which is why people are going to overplay Allen. I don't know if it's possible to overplay Allen, but like, they're always going to overplay the quarterback at captain if you're going with Diggs as the optimal captain, meaning you think he's going to have a 30 or a 35 point night on DraftKings with the 1.5 point captain multiplier. Josh Allen probably had a good enough day to have to be in that lineup as well. It would be pretty rare for Steph Diggs to be the optimal captain and Josh Allen not be dragged along in that lineup. The correlation between the QB and the wide receiver or pass catcher is just too strong. On the other side, look, we could argue about whether or not he's good, whether or not he's bad, whether is he cooked, all this sort of stuff. No pun intended. Broncos country, let's ride, whatever. They are projected to play from behind in this game. They have a solid enough team total, right? So like what, 23.5, and then minus is like over 20 expected points in this game. It's not like Buffalo's defense has been overly scary, especially with the loss of their top tier cornerback. They've been very susceptible against the run. The Broncos do try to establish it a ton, but if they play from behind, which everyone expects them to be playing from behind and have to throw the football, more attempts for Russ can lead to more touchdowns for Russ. He has had to scamper a little bit more, giving him a few points on the ground, We haven't seen a ceiling game from like 30 plus points since against Washington, but everybody has a ceiling game against Washington. Except Geno, I guess. That's a whole other story. But like Russ Wilson, if you're playing him in captain, I don't think that I'm going to have much of him in captain, but you do have to consider it. We're going to build that same group with all of his pass catchers as well, and including his kicker in that one. Marvin Mims for downfield, I guess. We're down bad on Marvin Mims, just assuming that he's going to play when he doesn't. Little Jordan Humphrey, you can throw him in that group. The Trout Man, you can put him in that group. All of those guys if you're going to play Russ Wilson. But more than likely, you're not going to be using Russ Wilson as your captain. I think the most viable captains on Denver would be, one, Javonte Williams, who played more snaps in week 8 than he had before any point during this season. He also got 30 touches in this game. As the season rolls along and he gets further away from that knee injury that he sustained last year, they do have good other running backs on this team. Guys like Samaje Perine, Jaleel McLaughlin, looks the part. When he's got the ball in his hands, he can play. I don't care what his combine scores are. I don't care if he's a UDFA, any of that stuff. The kid can play a little bit. But Javonte can play a whole lot bit. And he's a very good player, great at evading tackles and great at breaking tackles, great at yards after first contact. He started to look more spry a few weeks ago, back in like week 6. Started to see that old burst that we saw from before the injury last season. And it's very possible that he comes back into it, gets a little bit more usage, takes advantage of a Buffalo team that is not great against the opposing running backs. They allow a lot of points against opposing running backs. He gives you a little bit of a value. You don't have to correlate much with him, but because people say, well, I'm going to play the defense. So the defense and the running back are actually diametrically opposed. You'd think, well, if the running back's doing well, that means that the defense is doing well. And if the defense is doing well, it means the running back's doing well because they're not allowing points. It means that they're winning. It's not how fantasy scoring works. In reality, that works. Like, it correlates in NFL, but it doesn't necessarily correlate in fantasy, right? Like, the Browns played horribly on defense all day against the Ravens, just to use something that consider your recency bias here. They looked really bad, right? They were getting run over, the opposing, and then all of a sudden, they got a few sacks. They scored a late touchdown on defense. All of a sudden, they have 15 DraftKings points. So, like, no, you don't have to play from ahead. It doesn't necessarily correlate with the running back. So you can basically do anything you want around that. And by putting him in the captain spot, it opens up things like, I don't know, something like that, where you could actually afford a lineup like this by going with the cheaper captains on Denver. If you think that they can get you there in a viable fashion, I think that they can. I'm not saying that they're the most viable, but there's 3 of them. The other one is Courtland Sutton. Only 3 targets in their last game against Kansas City. Has scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 5 games. He has been the favored target of Russ Wilson. If I'm going to play Courtland Sutton as my captain, same reasons that we would correlate Josh Allen with Steph Diggs as captain are the same reasons we would correlate Wilson with Sutton. And if you wanted to go with Jerry Jeudy, I'm okay with that too. If you think that he's going to have a big game, he really hasn't. Steve Smith kind of told on him a little bit, and he's not recovered to this point. It's kind of like the Tiger King. He's never going to financially recover from Steve Smith getting after him on that primetime game. But we just keep getting these Broncos on primetime games. He certainly has the talent. He's got the physical skill set to make it happen for us, but he just hasn't put it all together. Who knows why? Maybe he doesn't fit the scheme. Maybe the scheme doesn't fit him. Maybe it's a mentality thing. Maybe he doesn't work hard enough in the film room. I don't know the answer. I'm not in that locker room. Can't tell you why. He is a more gifted wide receiver than Courtland Sutton is, but he can't make it happen at the NFL level on the field. Couple of more possible captains on Buffalo. One, I already mentioned him, James Cook. Denver is the worst team in the league when it comes to allowing points to opposing running backs, but there's danger here because James Cook doesn't always get the lion's share, never gets 20 touches. Same thing goes for Lat Murray, never gets a bunch of touches. He's behind. He is clearly the backup guy at this point. Cook has taken over the lead, but like he's going to split and he's going to get vultured by Lat Murray. He's going to get vultured by Josh Allen. So it's hard to hang your hat here, especially at 15,000. Even though the matchup is amazing, I'm just saying it's precarious. So single entry, I may not go that route, but if you're playing mass multi-entry, there's reasons for it. The other two, Dalton Kincaid coming off his biggest game. The last 3 games since Knox went down have been tremendous for him with 26 targets over the last 3 games, 15, 17 and a half, 17. Not the game-breaking games, but he's only had 1 touchdown over that span. So if he's going to get this sort of floor of volume where he's got 65-plus yards a game and maybe 7-plus targets a game from Josh Allen, those are high-value targets, and Denver can't stop their nose from running at this point. So Dalton Kincaid is probably going to feast. He would be somebody that I would include Josh Allen with, as well as the longest shot possible at captain. I know there's a lot of captains on this slate, but Gabe Davis, he is the cliff diver at captain if you want. You're either going to be a grand champion and he's going to have like 3 touchdowns and 35 points, or a game like this with, you know, a touchdown and 100 yards, 6 catches, 23 points here with a touchdown, or you're going to end up being a stain on a rock. Because there's only really 2 levels of cliff diver. There's no, like, I'm a big shades of gray guy. There's a lot of levels in between stuff, but like when it comes to cliff diving, there's 2 levels. So you're either going to be a grand champion if you play Gabe Davis, you're going to be right, or you're not going to be right, and that lineup's going to be DFL. So those would be all the captains that I think are playable on this slate. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. And if you do not have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, you can get up to a $500 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site if you use the code ALSMIZZLE when you first join. ALSMIZZLE, all one word. We're going to build a pick 'em for $100. I'm going to go Javonte Williams over 11.35. That's extremely specific. Fantasy points. Remember, this is half PPR. Over on Underdog, Josh Allen over 275 passing yards, and Steph Diggs getting over 86 yards receiving. $100 to win 600. I'm going to submit that. We're going to put that in there and head over to Underdog Fantasy, and hopefully you can win some money yourself. Let's take a look at some of the cheaper plays on this slate. I got 3 of them for you. The first one I spoke about briefly before. Khalil Shakir has seen a massive uptick in 3 areas: his snaps, his routes run, and his volume. The reason for that is they've run more 3 wide, more 11 personnel than 12 since Dawson Knox got hurt. So assuming that they're going to continue doing things in the same manner, Khalil Shakir, second-year player, has got a little bit of zip to him. He's got a little bit of go. 4 catches minimum the last 3 games. He's in that mid-range. We always find somebody here from 4K to 6K that just never has more than 25% of the field on him. He does have touchdown upside. He has not flexed that yet. He does get you a good amount of scoring for that 4,400 points, a good expectation. Since he has moved into like a more of a starter's role, I don't want to know how you want to define it, but with them playing more 3 wide personnel, Shakir has done extremely well. He's definitely thriving. A couple of super cheapies for you way down here in the $200 range. Where are they? I can't find them. I'm gonna have to type them. We got Adam Troutman. He's number 1. No targets here, but again, every single point matters. And tight ends, we like them a lot for Showdown because that 1 catch can a lot of time end up for a touchdown. When they get close to the goal line, teams go 2-3 tight end sets, big jumbo packages. That's when you end up getting these backup tight end touchdowns. For 200, it's worth a gamble to make the rest of that lineup fit. And knowing how expensive 2 top bills are going to cost you in this on this particular slate, with Allen being priced where he is, both at captain and in flex. Same with Diggs. Having somebody like Troutman in the flex, if he gets you a catch or 2, that's great. And we have this is my favorite name in football right here, Lil Jordan Humphrey, another guy that they signed, elevated from the practice squad. He's going to run some routes in this game. And we noticed that earlier in the season, he got some run and he plays a little bit. He is somebody that's not going to snap a lot. Maybe 25 snaps in this game. You're hoping for 2 targets. Hopefully he can bring in both of them. Scored a touchdown back in week 1 against the Raiders. Let's go over to Fantasy Labs, smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L if you want to take advantage of a discounted membership to Fantasy Labs. They have great products, lineup builders, and projections for NFL, college football, NBA, MLB when it rolls around. Golf is still going. NHL is in full swing. The 6-month package, I think it's, I don't know exactly what the price. I thought it was $249. Don't quote me. Go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L, and you can find out. That's the best bargain. 6 months, all sports, projections, and lineup builder to carry you through everything. Here's where I start. These are the 5 rules that I build for everyone. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 2 of their pass catchers and kicker. Bring them back with one of the skill position players on the other team. If I have a captain, wide receiver, or tight end, make sure that the quarterback's in that lineup, and limit to at least, at most, 1 defense and kicker from the same game. If you want to use 2 defenses and kickers from the same game, you go right ahead. I limit it to 1 because I want to shoot for upside. We're going to make 150 lineups by ceiling. We'll apply these settings and we'll generate lineups from this game. And realize that you're not just going to click that little green button up here and all of a sudden start printing money because you have an account over at Fantasy Labs. You're going to have to spend some time massaging these lineups and making sure you have the right correlations and combinations and allocations that you desire between your captains and your flex to get the best combinations that you possibly can. So I wish you the best of luck this Monday night. Make sure that you go check out the recap video on the Fantasy Football channel. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.